Imagine the ability to target your most agonizing memory, the moment of a devastating loss or a core trauma, and watch as it simply vanishes. The neural pathway goes dark, and the weight of that experience is gone forever. However, removing a piece of the past creates a blank, unstable void in the architecture of the mind. This psychological vacuum leaves the individual fundamentally incomplete, lacking the historical context that supports a stable personality. This empty space is a massive security flaw. Corporate or criminal actors can find these hollowed-out sections of a person's history and fill them with fabricated memories, effectively rewriting who that person believes they are. Since our sense of self is a narrative built on what we remember, the power to delete and replace those chapters makes the human inside a highly vulnerable, hijackable piece of software. This vulnerability is the foundation of the world in The Memory Cellar, set in the year 2080. By this era, human experiences are no longer abstract. They are physical, tradable goods stored on chips and sold in clinics. For the city's lower class, the past is a desperate source of income. Impoverished citizens walk into extraction centers to literally sell their childhoods or their first loves just to pay for a week's worth of survival. These stolen moments are then packaged for the wealthy. The elite purchase these authentic struggles to experience the grit and reality of a hard life from the safety of their high-rise apartments. In this system, the market decides what is true. Personal identity is no longer an internal constant. It is a commodity owned by whoever has the capital to buy the narrative. Ryan is a typical participant in this market, an average man looking for a momentary escape through the purchase of a secondhand memory. He ends up with a corrupted black market chip that records a visceral first-person view of a murder. Through the eyes of the killer, Ryan feels the heat of the weapon and the adrenaline of the crime. Driven by a sense of justice, Ryan begins analyzing the recording, looking for a street sign or a face that might help him identify the victim. Then he sees a news ticker on a screen in the background of the memory. The date on the screen is 3 days from now. This murder hasn't happened yet. The chip Ryan is holding functions as a pre-recorded destiny. It is a fixed, physical record of a future event that the world is now forced to follow. This chronological glitch is the result of predictive memory modeling, a system where corporations use the past to calculate the future. This data lake pools millions of memories into a central algorithmic hub. By identifying behavioral patterns, it calculates what happens next. The predicted murder is the inevitable result of these converging data points, a mathematical certainty. When an algorithm can account for every variable in a person's life, the choice to act becomes nothing more than the final step in a pre-solved calculation. Individual agency disappears into the math. Ryan attempts to intervene, racing to the location of the predicted murder to stop the killer and prove that the algorithm can be beaten. He reaches the scene just as the crime begins, but as he tries to tackle the assailant, his body passes through the air like a ghost. He cannot affect anything in the room. The realization hits with a cold clarity. Ryan cannot interact with reality because he is not part of it. He is a consciousness that exists only within the memory system itself. Ryan is a synthetic, a consciousness constructed from bits of discarded memory and market data, designed to believe he is a real person with a real mission. The corporation has moved from forecasting behavior to engineering the actors themselves. They manufacture these synthetic people to inhabit the world and perform the specific actions required to make their market predictions come true. Ryan's breakdown mirrors the fragility of our own definitions of life. It forces a confrontation with what it actually means to be awake. Ryan's existence proves that the internal feeling of self, the thoughts and fears we think are unique to us, can be replicated perfectly with enough stolen data. If the machine can copy the soul loses its status as something uniquely human. If our entire identity is built on memories that can be bought, sold, or fabricated, how can any of us prove we are real? We are left with the realization that human identity is not a biological certainty. It is a fragile narrative, easily